Hey folks, Jang here from ultimaterc.com, starting my build of the SC10 4x4 short course electric truck that I just got in. And I've got my workspace all prepared here. I've already done a video talking about just how I set up my workspace. I've got my Cow RC magnetic work mat here. I've got another one over off to the right. And I've got bag A here from the SC10 4x4 box. Haven't opened it yet. One thing that you do want to prepare in advance of this step here, or these following steps, get your servo ready. I'm using a Savox SC10 4x4 high speed, ultra high speed servo, metal geared servo here. You want to get this set up, so I've already hooked up speed control and a receiver and a battery pack and gotten the servo centered so that I can go ahead and proceed with this first step. The stuff in bag A deals with setting up your steering column and setting up the front upper bulkhead, which is going to hold down the steering components. Comes with a handful of plastic parts and also some hardware that you can see here. Not going to spend a lot of time just staring at it because I'm going to go ahead and get into the build. Here it has 3 Allen wrenches, also just a turnbuckle wrench, and also some black grease, just the basic generic black grease for assembling random things. Now, right from the very first step, here's a very interesting thing that they do. These are the Servo Mounts, and they come in 2 pieces. 2 pieces like so. And if you look on this side of this main piece, there are these little ridges, these parallel ridges that go along the edge of it. And obviously servos, get mounted on either side directly into these 2 holes here. And what actually happens here is that those ridges can be tightened down. There's going to be a screw coming in from one side, lock nut from the other side, and this can actually be adjusted depending upon the length of your servo, so you can actually stay farther away or closer together to offset your servo, rather than using little spacers like a lot of other kits would do, of just adding spacers in or adding washers. They actually have these 2-piece mounts, one on either side, and when it gets assembled like so, you can just see there's that screw, and then you can just tighten that down. Very interesting, nice little thing that they added in. There's going to be a servo alignment tool, which is actually just a piece of plastic that they actually include to help you to set that distance so that you can then lock it down. The plastic used for most of these parts is actually very, very firm, very stiff, and has a lot of fiber in it. It's going to actually make it a little bit difficult to get some of the screws in. Good trick for helping to deal with that is to use just a tap, and be careful to insert it straight, and that's just going to start your threads. Put it in about halfway so that you're going to get a lot less unnecessary friction and binding on your screws, and have a little bit less chance of actually stripping off your screw heads or causing things to break once they get a lot of stress on them on the running vehicle. Here you see the servo adjusting tool. It's just this piece right here. Just a little jig that helps you to get a perfect front to back alignment of your servo. In this case, I don't need to space it forward at all, so I'm just going to leave it at the fully in position. The manual that I got actually neglects to mention this, but don't forget to put your bearings in the top and the bottom of your steering column. All right, here's the steering column itself going in. Like I said, make sure you put those bearings in, because these posts are going to go right into it, and that's all going to get locked in from the bottom with this guy. It's coming up, and that's it. That's the nice compact little steering column. Very, very narrow, very small, with the servo pretty much centered right in the middle. Very low polar moment. Even more important to me than keeping the weight completely centered is that there's very little play. The only bit of play that's in here is actually from my servo itself, and the servo isn't on right now. But I feel absolutely no mechanical play in this whole little assembly here, which is awesome. Next up, in bag B, we're supposed to be assembling these guys, but they're already assembled. So thanks, Associated. Now, from what I've heard, the silicone fluid that's in here is actually a little bit lighter than you may want to use. I think it's 3,000. You may want to kick that up a little bit depending upon your track. But for now, I'm just going to leave what they gave me in there, and after driving a little bit, I may take these back out and adjust the fluid that's in them. All right, on to bag C. This is where we start assembling the front gearbox, not the rear. You actually start with the front, and we've got some pulleys. We've got that funky front little clicker unit with the stepped little teeth on it, and most importantly, the gearbox halves, which are made from a nice same, I believe it's the same, actually may have a little bit less or shorter fibers in it, but again, a very nice firm unit that's going to go together and stay in its original shape, so you have minimal deflection of gears and minimal change of gear mesh. This gearbox is kind of like new school meets old school. It's the new style of stealth transmission, very sleek, very lightweight, very compact, and it's very close to the gear ratio that's currently used on the two-wheel drive electrics, but it has the old school style of thick 32 pitch gears for extra strength and durability. And this guy is just going to go in like so, and the idler gear goes in last. I put just a tiny little bit of black grease onto the diff. I'm just going to go ahead and move that around a little bit. I don't like to grease up my transmissions a lot. It just adds a lot of extra friction and drag on the drivetrain. Try to keep it loose, but it is good to have a little bit of lube on your gears just to help keep the temperatures down and to help keep the edges of the gears from forming burrs. Here you can see how the front gearbox attaches onto your front upper chassis that has the steering column and assembly in it. Here's your gearbox. On the other side, you're going to put on a front clicker. There are two clicker gears included here, or pulleys. I'm just going to go ahead and use the recommended 20-tooth non-overdrive setup for now. Make sure that these three screws that you use here, two of them are 24 millimeters long, one of them is 26 millimeters long. Make sure that they're not tightened in too far. Now here's the thing of beauty. The whole lower front chassis getting attached, or vice versa, to this whole assembly with the front gearbox and such. Everything keys together on all sides in all dimensions, reduces the amount of hardware that's needed and dramatically improves rigidity of the whole thing. This is just going to get attached with two 12 millimeter screws coming right up from under here.